What's up, guys? This is Jesse Corby here at Jeweler's Advantage, and today we are here to talk about your Lucky 7. There is a secret weapon in the world of business if you feel like you're still getting your head around the jewelry industry and the business side of running a successful jewelry brand or even just being a private jeweler. There is a secret weapon that you should know, and it is called frameworks. When you can think in a framework, you get to make decisions faster because it's like you can see the code in the matrix. You can solve problems more easily when you know which ways to compartmentalize the problems that need to be solved in a business. And a jewelry business is just one big problem-solving exercise. And today we're going to get into exactly what you need to do in order to make your jewelry business a great one. So let's start with what we call the 5 pillars. Every jewelry business, whether you are a private jeweler, right on up to the Cartiers and the Tiffany's, have just 5 pillars in their business that get unlocked with some special things later on. Those 5 pillars are going to be product design, marketing, sales and service, production and operations, and finance. If you've been watching any content from Jeweler's Advantage in the past, you've probably seen me bring up these 5 pillars. Pause the video right now and write this down if you have just heard about this today. That is your product design. For a jeweler, whether you're a private jeweler or a big brand, you're coming up with designs that hopefully are unique to you. Then you're going out into the market, and marketing is not just content creation. It is also understanding where you stand in the market. Who is your customer? What types of jewelry do they want to buy? Marketing is a lot more than content, but it's also then taking what you learn in those areas and creating the content and scheduling it for social media and things like that. That would be at the top of your sales funnel, would be marketing. Then at the bottom of the sales funnel, we have sales and service. This is where you're actually talking to people and solving problems. What a lot of people don't do correctly is diagnose the problems in their business. If you have a problem with conversion, you don't just throw more marketing and advertising budget at the problem. You have to learn how to convert at the bottom of the funnel when people take action. When they do hopefully take action, you have production and operations. This is where you're probably making the jewelry, or if you want to get fancy or really efficient and profitable, you're linking together a supply chain with suppliers and manufacturers, probably overseas. Doesn't have to be overseas, but that is a great way to save some cost. And ultimately, we have to make our way down to making sure that this is a profitable business, not just an art project. And of course, that happens in finance. No matter what size of a business you have in jewelry, if you've made sales and stayed in business in any way, you are already aligned with these 5 pillars. So then the question becomes, how do you unlock the full potential of this business? You'll notice that we have green stars and red stars. If it's a green star, that's one of the 5 pillars. That's built into your business already if you're doing anything. It's just a matter of the quality varying. These are like the fundamentals of the sport. If we were playing basketball or football or volleyball or whatever sport we could play, these would be like the 5 fundamentals that are in place no matter what we're doing. And then it's just a matter of how effective are we going to be in the 2020s and 2030s and beyond as a jewelry brand, as AI takes over the internet and completely transforms this industry end to end. That's where the red stars come in. That's where some strategy is required. Okay, so we have these 5 pillars in our business, but we need to start having a real strategy if we're going to make this a successful business on e-commerce and in the digital age with AI. And in order to understand that, we need to know that your Lucky 7 is like a sandwich. We have the 5 pillars in the business that are your fundamentals, that are the things that you definitely do, whether you realize it or not. But when it comes to your brand identity or technology in the business, that is a choice. That is a decision to be made, and there's a strategy that is required if you want to do this correctly. So we have the 5 pillars of the business. You have to understand that underpinning all of that is going to be technology. Any activity in any of these areas is probably carried out with some kind of tool, whether you're using a CAD program or a social media scheduler or a live chat system or some type of CRM and ERP to coordinate your orders with the current state of the customer, or just your good old-fashioned QuickBooks. All of that is technology. Now, what people typically do in their jewelry business, and I've seen comments out there in the airwaves already of how can I use AI for marketing my family jewelry store? Well, people usually have some type of mistake in this area when they try to implement technology with no plan or with just some kind of isolated goal, like we want more leads or we want more sales. Hey, that's great. We all want more sales, right? But when you try to just throw technology at the problem and go work with somebody that's a digital agency that's just using Go high level tools to address the marketing problem, if you know what that is, that isn't guaranteed to solve the problem, because the technology is just something that is supposed to help carry out the strategy of the business. You can have these 5 pillars. You can even have technology combining all of these 5 pillars, but if you don't know who your customer is, and you don't know what story you're trying to tell, and you don't know how your product aligns with all of that, and how all of that will be carried out through some type of marketing campaign and sales strategy, then it doesn't matter what the technology is. We've got a free video on jewelersadvantage.com called Technology Strategy and Tool Stack that will lay out everything that you're supposed to have in place here. This is actually pretty easy once you understand what needs to happen in the more creative and cerebral aspects of your strategy, but you can definitely regard this as a must-have if you want to be selling jewelry with robots on the internet. So the idea here is that the technology is like a paint by numbers approach in an e-commerce jewelry business. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know that Shopify and Klaviyo are 2 industry standards that can really get a lot done. And once you understand things like anti-fraud and how AI agents will be deployed into all departments of a business, this is going to actually become pretty straightforward. Technology is probably not working in your jewelry business because you don't have a brand identity. So if we come over to the other must-have for your jewelry brand to be successful from here on out with AI agents taking over the internet in 2025 and beyond, you need to understand that the top of this sandwich, the top layer, kind of the wrapper on the candy bar, is your brand identity. So in some of our other videos, you've heard us talk about something called the brand prism. It's a conversation starter in our free AI that you can get started with today and start to understand what this is. The trick is, without a brand identity and without a real brand strategy, how are you supposed to know who your customer even is? How do you know what market segment you're going after? Do you just sell to everybody? Well, if you just sell to everybody, it's a race to the bottom on price, because at that point, it's just a matter of, I have these materials, I have this stuff, I can do it faster and better than the other jeweler, and I can do it cheaper, and you're just begging for the sale. That's what happens when you don't have a brand identity. You need to be able to be aware of what market segment are we even trying to sell to? Is this a high-end brand? Is this a low-end brand? Is this a middle market brand? Is there a way for us to sell into all 3 tiers of pricing that way? There is. You'll need to know what your brand identity, though, is if you want to know, is it a high-end or middle market hip-hop jewelry brand as opposed to a designer kind of luxury fine jewelry brand. We want to meet the customer that we align with the most and meet them where they are. So your brand identity is actually the key that unlocks all 5 pillars of the business. When you understand that, say, you're a high-end luxury brand, or maybe we just want to keep this on an even keel so that everybody can relate. Say it was just your good old-fashioned signet style middle market jewelry brand, but you're doing something a little bit special with the storytelling. You've really connected with some kind of nuanced design style that makes you unique. When you have that, that comes to life in product design. Maybe you are a brand that takes inspiration from Art Deco and some type of film movie style, some type of musical style, some type of special art style, like Art Deco or Art Nouveau. Those are just kind of the generic terms that we can throw out. But all of a sudden, this product is taking on a brand new light. If you're maybe a middle market brand that is positioning as kind of affordable luxury, the marketing still looks like a luxury brand, which is something that you can definitely accomplish with AI if you know what the brand identity is. If you know that it's sort of a middle market brand that presents more like a luxury brand, then you would know that in your sales and service strategy, you need to be able to talk to everybody, the every man, every woman type character out in the world, but you also need to make it feel kind of like an elevated experience without surpassing their reading level, if you get me. Then production and operations, that's just going to dictate what kind of product does this brand sell and how are we going to actually manufacture the specific type of product that we sell. And then from then on, if we know what type of market segment we are in, we could then deduce what is the actual nuts and bolts of making this a profitable business case on the finance side. So it actually all starts with brand. When you hear us say this in a lot of our content, it's not just to push the idea of brand is important. It's that brand is the catalyst for everything else to fall into place for the type of business that you actually want to own. You should build the business that you want to own. It doesn't have to be any bigger or smaller than you want it to be. You shouldn't have to go build products or create products and talk to the types of customers that you don't like. You should be thinking of, who is my perfect customer? What would be my dream product to sell? What would be the dream brand that I would want to go be a part of that world? Go build that. And if you understand what that is to you, then you can start to figure out what your product design should be, what your marketing strategy would be, and how you're going to attract customers, how you're going to close customers, how you're going to build a machine under that business, how you're going to make that a profitable business. And then, and only then, should you be thinking, how are we going to create a cradle that supports this business with tools? That's all the technology is. It's just a bunch of tools that are going to harmonize across all of these different areas and ultimately be the vehicle that brings this brand to market and tells this story. Okay, I hope this demystified it a bit. You have 5 pillars in your business. These are the fundamentals of the sport you are playing as a commercially viable jewelry business of any size, from private jeweler on up to Cartier, Tiffany, Bulgari, and so on. You should be able to tell your story your way. And in the age of AI, the little guy is better, faster, smarter. And when you don't have that bureaucracy, you can make decisions on the fly and act like a real startup and be excited and be in the game as a founder. But you can operate like a much bigger business because of AI. But you can tell the story at the level of the big brands because they're all using the AI tools too. It's getting democratized. So then you just underpin that with technology, the proven type tools. There's no reason why you can't build a brand that you could exit to the tune of millions of dollars that just happens to be on Shopify and happens to be using Klaviyo for their email marketing and happens to be using Signified for their anti-fraud and so on. So hopefully this was helpful. I can't drive the point home enough that the big secret sauce that unlocks everything is knowing that you have a brand identity. And then knowing that there are 5 pillars of the business that kind of make it a machine. And of course, the technology is just the tool to carry out that vision. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Check the link in the description if you'd like the AI that can make this happen for you, that can start walking you through this process for free. Other than that, my name is Jesse Corby here at Jewelers Advantage, and we will see you in the next one.